Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. We're back from a little bit of a break from Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody had a great holiday, remembering all those that served and those that are currently serving. A lot of fun on that last episode with the live episode with my dad. We'll be sure to do a lot more live in-studio episodes as the show keeps progressing. It was a lot of fun, and whoever tuned in, we really appreciate it. If you have not tuned in yet, go check out the YouTube channel and watch that fun show. A lot of laughs and just a bunch of BSing and talking about racing, and that's what it's all about. Well, once again, I'm not right about any of the picks that I had. And, of course, Dad was more right. Just seems how it always goes. Now, I will be previewing some of the racing for this weekend. We're not going to do crew chief corner this week. Dad's got some other obligations, but he did send me some of his picks, especially for the dirt racing and NASCAR for this week. So let's do a little recap of Memorial Day weekend, and then we'll get into the recap of the preview of everything coming up this week, going to the first week of June. Want to also give a big happy birthday shout out to my grandpa, Davy Brown Sr., the big 8-9 today, still cranking that wrench and helping out building very fast race cars that just won the Weichert Memorial on Sunday. So awesome job with the 69K, Lance DeWeese and that entire crew picking up that big time win and a little early birthday present for my grandpa. So that was pretty cool to see. The NASCAR races, obviously, they did not happen on Sunday. So no 1,100 miles of racing for Sunday between IndyCar and the Coke 600, and the Xfinity race. Both got moved to Monday, and Mother Nature was still being kind of a pain in everybody's ass on Monday. So they were able to get the races in. They started off the Xfinity, and just the light mists and everything were just not cooperating, and they wanted to start the 600 on time. So they had about 50 laps in with the Xfinity race, and they moved that to happen after the Coke 600. And if you watched it, it was a pretty action-packed Coca-Cola 600. It was everything was happening. Lots of cautions were happening. Tempers were flaring. And I am obviously alluding to the crash between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin and Chase were racing hard for a few laps, bumping and banging. Chase wasn't really appreciating how Denny was getting into him, and eventually said, screw it, and right rear hooked him on the front stretch, similar to how Bubba Wallace did at Las Vegas against Kyle Larson last season. Very dangerous move, very unprofessional. You can intentionally wreck people, but that is not the place to do it, where you can put them in danger and put others in danger as well, going 175 plus miles an hour. And Denny said it best. It was a temper tantrum, and that's what Chase was doing. Well, that got Chase suspended. He will not be participating in the race at Gateway this coming weekend. And Denny was obviously knocked out of the race, and he had every right to be pissed off. There's just no place for that in the sport. You can wreck people, you can intentionally wreck people, but when you're intentionally wrecking them and putting them in such harm's way, it's just ridiculous. And NASCAR did the right thing, suspending. They're staying consistent with their suspensions. That's what they did to Bubba last year, and that's what they were. I'm surprised, honestly, them suspending NASCAR's golden child, but they did it. And we're moving on. And a big penalty that came out of the Coke 600 was Chase Briscoe having an unapproved part, essentially, and docked 120 points, 6 race suspension from the crew chief, and I think it was a $250,000 fine or something outrageous like that. So big time penalty on the 14 crew. But going through the race, it really was anybody's game. Ford was very strong throughout the race, and Ryan Blaney especially, he was able to get bigger leads as the and on the short runs, and then longer runs it fell off a little bit. They kept adjusting on it and working with the track, and a bunch of manufacturers up in the top 10 though. You had Fords, Toyotas, and Chevys all throughout. Kyle Larson obviously has bad luck once again. He gets real loose on one of the restarts after he worked his way up through the field. After a junk car in the beginning, able to adjust with it, and they were in the top 5, but he ended up spinning out and just wrecking the car. And that was all she wrote with that. But big story is Ryan Blaney was able to hold off everybody throughout those late race restarts and picks up the win in such a historic race. So very awesome for Ryan Blaney. Good for him. He's a very, very humble driver, well deserving. Even though he races a Ford, he showed a lot of emotion there. He had tears in his eyes, and it was a very popular win. A lot of people were cheering in the stands for him. He jumps up into the stands just like his Penske counterpart in the Indy 500, which we'll talk about in a second. Jumps in the stands and parties with the crowd and everything. So that was really cool to see. Like I said, very well deserving for Ryan Blaney. It's been a long time since he last won, but very well deserving. And that whole crew, just cool to see. And such a big time race. And I think it was a very good race. I think it was a lot of fun. And it backs it up with another exciting Xfinity race. It was half the distance of the Coke 600 300-mile race after they had about 50 laps already in. Well, Justin Allgaier was able to stretch it out on fuel, and fuel mileage came into a big factor at the end of that one. And I thought Austin Hill, my pick, was going to be able to get it. I thought Allgaier, the top 3, Allgaier, John Hunter, and Cole Custer were going to run out of fuel. No. Why would they? Austin Hill filled up, was ready to fly through the field, and of course no one ran out of fuel. And Allgaier's awesome, another humble driver, well-deserving winner. I think it was two very popular wins this weekend at Charlotte. But just kind of pissed me off a little bit that Dad got another pick right. So good on you, Dad. And but just to rub it in my face even more, he had enough in the tank to do a burnout. So fun stuff. All right, talk about the other big time race that happened this weekend. I kind of heard of it. The Indianapolis 500. They were able to get the full thing in on Sunday. No issues with Mother Nature out in Indiana. And first time Indy 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden, gets the win in an exciting, thrilling fashion at the very end. There were so many wrecks. That one wreck, I don't know if you watched any of the race. One driver gets into the wall and starts sliding down the track. Another one has nowhere to go, clips him. Tire goes flying up into the stands. And actually, they showed it afterwards. It hit someone's car. So somebody's getting a brand new car now. I'm just glad nobody got hit. And nobody was injured with that, because that was crazy. At least 200 miles an hour, make an impact like that with the tire flying. Very, very fortunate for everybody that no one was injured. And the drivers themselves were not injured. So a bunch of wrecks, big time wrecks happened in this race. And I thought it was going to end under caution, but they were able to get that last couple lap shootout. And Joseph Newgarden was able to get the late race pass and pick up the win for this first Indianapolis 500. He timed it just right on the final lap on the back stretch, and it was exciting. It was exciting fashion, and look at the crowd there. It was amazing. Great to see the crowd coming back in full force, and probably the biggest ever. I'm going to put money that it was one of the biggest ever. And after seeing how unfortunate sporting events got in during the COVID times and nobody was able to go to the tracks and stuff, and when you saw the empty Indianapolis 500, seeing this was just very awesome. And just the spectacle of that was incredible. And Newgarden was able to drink that milk and etch his name into history for the IndyCar series. So, again, congratulations to Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Blaney on those two iconic victories this weekend. Obviously, we touched on during the live show the other events that happened throughout the week, but we previewed Lawrenceburg for the World of Outlaws, and it was really battle for second place. James McFadden comes out with the win, and he dominates every lap, and didn't really have a whole lot of competition for him. Carson Macedo was up there, David Gravel was up there, trying to make some late race moves, but he had the car hooked up on the outside and smooth sailing throughout the thing. So James McFadden gets a big win on Memorial Day. A big fight was about to break loose. After that, it was Cole Macedo. Somebody was mad at Cole Macedo. I can't remember exactly who it was. I saw bits and pieces of it. You can't really find where the wreck happened, but he gets out of his car and about to try to throw hands, but luckily officials got in the way and nobody was hurt, because you get out of the cars, especially in the Sprint Car Series. You've seen what happens, especially with Tony Stewart, and you don't want a repeat of history for anything like that. So, fun weekend. Again, if you haven't seen the live action show, go ahead and check it out. We kind of trash talk a little bit of Formula One while we had it on the TV. Nothing against Formula One, just maybe if I watch a documentary on Netflix and try to get into it a little bit more, maybe it could be a little bit more exciting. But when somebody wins by 11, 12, 13 seconds, and that's the minimum, it just doesn't really excite me. It's really cool. Again, another thing with the big spectacle. That was really cool at Monaco. So another year down, another 1,100 miles of racing done. Hopefully next year Mother Nature will cooperate with every racetrack and we'll get it done on that Sunday, as is tradition. And next year Kyle Larson will make his IndyCar debut in the Indianapolis 500 and try to complete only what one other person was able to do, which was Tony Stewart, who finished 6th in the Indianapolis 500, led a few laps in that, and 3rd in the Coca-Cola 600. So Larson's trying to better that and possibly become the first driver to win both in the same day. That would be an incredible feat to have and to add on to his resume. It would not shock me at all if he gets it done then. And time will tell. He's already preparing for it. He was there at Indianapolis, and they had an interview with him. He's already excited, trying to learn the lingo, learn the process of the Indy cars. So he's a student of the game, and you could tell he's beyond excited to make his IndyCar debut next year. We're moving on, and drag racing's back this week too, and they are in New England. Dad didn't give me his pick for the drag racing, so we're not going to do a pick in that. So if you get a chance this weekend, check out the NHRA Indy cars. They'll show, of course, on FS1 on Sunday, and definitely some more exciting action, over 300 miles an hour, coming at you on Sunday for the NHRA. The High Limit Series is racing as I'm recording this, so obviously no pick right there. So everything's going to start off with the World of Outlaws All-Stars, and we're going to end the podcast once again with the picks for NASCAR. Truck Series and the Cup Series are at Gateway at the Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis, and Xfinity in Portland, Oregon. Well, this episode is brought to you by W Energy. Instead of your normal pop-up, why not just show you what I've got right here? This is one of the hydration packets they've got. It's really good. Monkey Madness. It's strawberry and banana flavor. It's a very strong banana flavor, so if you like banana flavored things, it's really good. Caffeine-free hydration, so hot summer coming up. Check out their stuff there. They've also got, obviously, plenty of energy supplements there. You mix in your water and get on with your day. A good boost to have steady energy throughout the day. So go to w.gg, use promo code ZBHP, get 10% off your order. Again, w.gg, promo code ZBHP, 10% off your order. Back to the show. All right, the All-Star Circuit of Champions making a trip to Wisconsin for the Gibweiser Classic. $8,000 to win at Dodge County Fairgrounds on Friday, June 2nd and June 3rd. They're racing for $26,000 at Plymouth Dirt Track and Sheboygan County Fair. So, big news on this one. Lance DeWeese and the 69K team are making the trip way up there to race against the All-Stars there. So, be on the lookout for them. And it'll be very interesting to see what they can do, and then they make some noise at these tracks. And I don't think Lance has ever been there. I'm pretty certain none of them have been there, so it'll be very cool to see how they handle that and how they go about prepping for that race and getting it set up, and just see them have a lot of high energy and competitiveness in this, and hopefully they'll get a decent finish out of these. But at Dodge County, like I said, Dad made his picks. So the All-Star Circuit champions all at Dodge County. Dad, he picked Corey Eliason to win that, and which is obviously a good pick. You really can't go wrong. There's a few people that are pretty solid right now in the All-Stars, and a lot of them are just taking everything there. And that you might see some random people race these tracks, just like you see Lance racing there, and Rico's made some names there. Brett Marks has come out to some of these races as well. My pick for Dodge County at All-Stars, though, is one I've always picked, and it's a pretty safe bet. And it's I was right on my All-Star pick on the Weicker Memorial, by the way, with Lance. So you're all welcome. My pick for Dodge County, though, is none other than Sunshine Tyler Courtney. Picked him many times. It's hard to really go against him. He's got a few All-Star wins this year, and I'm sure he's going to keep stacking them up. The pick at the next day at the Plymouth Dirt Track, Dad is going with Sunshine Tyler Courtney for that one. Can't really go wrong with those picks at all that he had, and I'm sure he'll be right to just keep bragging. We haven't really kept score, but I don't think we really need to, because it'll show how terrible my picks have been this year. I've had like 3 right, but I'll take it. One of them's been right, was Lance DeWeese on Sunday, so I'll take it. But my pick for Plymouth is a driver who's pretty quick at Port Royal in these last outings, and I think you'll see him compete for the win. Zeb Wise for the Plymouth Dirt Track. And now the World of Outlaws visits North Dakota, the home track on the circuit for Donnie Schatz, River Cities, North Dakota. Donnie Schatz, obviously from Fargo, North Dakota, so obviously this is a very big race for him. I'm sure he'll have a lot of family there and want to show out for the local crowd. I'm just going to get right to the point here. Dad and I are both going with Donnie Schatz to win this race. I'm not going to pick against a guy that's that good and racing at his home track. So simple enough right there. The next day, first time the Outlaws have raced here. You're all gonna make me say it too. I don't know. They call it the Big O. It's in Minnesota. Ogilvy Raceway. Let's go with that. And like I said, the first time they've raced there. Very interesting to see how the dirt is in Minnesota with these sprint cars and how they make it set up. I'm sure they'll look at some late model races that have been there and use their notes from other tracks. They get paid the big bucks to make things work like this, so it'll be pretty pretty cool to see how these teams go about it and prepare for that track. Dad for that race is picking David Gravel. Obviously, a good pick there. It's hard to go against David. He's fell off a little bit, and he's getting back up, showing more consistency and competing for the wins. And my pick for this one, though, is 4-time in a row World of Outlaw champion Kyle Larson's brother-in-law, Brad Sweet's my pick for this one. As good as he is, racing that track, never raced that before. It's going to be kind of hard to go against him. I think you'll see him adjust pretty well and be competing for the win there. All right. Let's get into the big NASCAR series, the final picks for this week. Racing at Worldwide Technology Raceway, the trucks and the Cup Series. Like I said, Xfinity is out in Portland, Oregon. One thing I want to say about the Xfinity Series, I feel for those teams waiting until when they finish, 10:30, 11 o'clock with that race on Monday. They have to be in Portland by Friday. And it's a 54-hour drive or something. So tough on those truck drivers, and a lot of respect for those guys. Cross-country trip just like that, and they got to go back right after that to Sonoma. So a little West Coast swing for them there. And it's tougher on the Xfinity guys. Not as most of them don't have as high of a budget as the Cup guys. So hopefully all goes well with them. They get out there safely and on time and able to show a lot of good racing out there. I don't really like them being in Portland, but I think it's more catered to a Formula One track. I guess it was a decent enough race last year, and they wanted to go back this year. Let's get into Xfinity, then we'll wrap up in St. Louis. So against Xfinity Racing out there in Oregon at this road course, a very narrow road course. Again, it's kind of more designed for Formula One. Last year's winner was AJ Allmendinger. Shocker. He obviously, I don't think he would be competing in this because he has a Cup race to race in St. Louis. So I would highly doubt he would be making a trip out there for his part-time schedule that he has. Dad is going with Josh Berry. He had a good run there last year, and Josh Berry is, I've said it during the live broadcast, I'm pretty sure he's going to be at Stewart-Haas next year, like 99.9% certain. And they're finalizing everything for that. They haven't made the official announcement yet, but I'm sure it's coming. And Josh Berry is a great race car driver, and good for him to be making such a good career out of kind of a later start going into the Xfinity Series. So good on him. And my pick, someone ran very well at COTA, top 10 race there. Been pretty quick coming on lately. And he's a former Xfinity Series champion. Daniel Hemrick is my pick for Portland, Oregon. All right, the trucks will kick it off in St. Louis at Gateway. And I'm sure you'll see some doubleheaders this weekend. The trucks have been always known to put on good shows there. That's how the Cup Series was able to get there with the trucks, and they have trucks always had good crowds there, and that led NASCAR to make the wise decision to go to this racetrack for the Cups. And I like it. I like this. It's a different track, different type of track. It's a um, flatter track. It kind of, to me, reminds me of the Milwaukee Mile. If you ever seen that track, which is a really cool track. But like I said, it holds 78,000, so that's pretty cool. But such a narrow, the highest banked turn in turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4 are completely different. You saw that last year. People were having issues with one or the other and they couldn't get it quite right. And of course, first time Cups goes back there, none other than Joey Logano gets the win. So he's looking to come off, make a win for to defend his little opening title there. That is that for the Truck Series is going with what was he going? Yeah, Grant Enfinger is Dad's pick for that race, and my pick going with somebody obviously always contending for wins in the Truck Series this year. Not Grant Enfinger. That's not my pick. It's his pick. I ain't picking the same one on him again. I need to try to get ahead of him somehow. You know, just for bragging rights. I think bragging rights are more important than money or anything like that. I think that's that's where it's at. My pick is Ty Majeski for the truck race. And big news again, like I said earlier on, Chase Elliott has been suspended for this race, for the Cup race. And I forgot that Xfinity was in Portland. You would think Josh Berry's been filling in for him. Why not? Well, it's going to be a little hard for him to do that. So they called up Corey LaJoie and made a deal with Spire, and Corey LaJoie is going to get the chance to race in the 9 car. So it would be very cool very good for Corey, and cool to see him get that opportunity and see if he can do anything in really good equipment and good teams. We'll see how good of a driver he is then. And then Carson Hocevar gets the nod to race in the Cup race in the Spire Motorsports 7. So also good on Carson Hocevar having the opportunity to do that. A lot of people don't really like Carson for his aggression, kind of like a Chastain type racing. But hey, he gets the opportunity, and you got to take him when you give him. Like I said, Joey Logano won the race last year. Obviously, you're gonna look for him to contend for the win again there. That is going with Kyle Busch in that, so really going out on a limb with that one. And Kyle having up and down 600, not a bad pick at all. And he's going to knock off some wins during the summer, so very possible he gets a win knocked out here. My pick is somebody that is going to be racing for a little bit of vengeance and probably racing a little bit ticked off after the transgressions of last week's race. He was verbally not happy, and he said it on his own podcast about his stance, and NASCAR did the right thing of suspending the other driver involved. My pick for this race is Denny Hamlin. I think he gets the second win of the year and wins with a little bit of aggression on his side as well. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. A little recap, a little preview, a little unorthodox. And again, it's a little bit later this time, but we wanted to take some time off from the pod after having that live episode. So again, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you can check out that live show. It's good for any time. If you just want some laughs, there was some awesome, hilarious content in there. Comment in all the anywhere you want to, and let us know what else we can do to help keep improving the show. Follow on all social media platforms, and get us anywhere you get your podcasts. If you can't watch it on YouTube, we're everywhere. So keep trying to build this thing and see where we can go from it. So I appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the support. And until next time, we'll see you guys.